Hey everybody, I'm going to tell you about the time that I was touched. Because it's important to talk about. Know what I mean? That's how you heal. So we was fishing. Me and my dad in Beacon at the creek. And I know what you're thinking right away. It's not my dad that's touching me. So me and my dad was fishing at the creek. Right actually at the spot where my Uncle Joe found his girlfriend. Her dead body. She was a crack whore. And that's never a good combo. The crack and the whore. That's why I told my friend one time when we was battling, on the microphone, your metaphor sucks more than the crack whore. That's what I was referring to. It really sucks to be both. Anyways, me and my dad was fishing, right? And all of a sudden, I realized that the lady down a little ways from us on the shore, the lady that she was fishing with her daughter. I realized that lady was the driver of my school bus. That was very strange. And I think you can understand why. Think about it. It's not just strange because you don't usually see your bus driver out and about in regular life. The real strange, the real reason why it was super strange was that I went to school at that time up north in Poughkeepsie, Power Kingdom. Know what I mean? So that was far away. We was in Beacon. That was at least a 40-minute drive. So what are the chances? The story that I have to tell you is filled with a lot of chance events. And that's what makes it special in my mind. And one of the reasons it sticks in my brain. Now, I don't remember if my dad knew that lady. And I don't think I even said anything to my dad. Because I figured my dad would probably want to go talk to her and I didn't want to talk. But, I was shy. I was probably like, I'm like 7 or 8 at this time. But I don't know if my dad knew her. But I remember that we all started fishing together. Maybe it was because we was the only ones fishing. And you don't want to ignore anybody. If you're the only ones fishing, it's kind of, what are you going to do? Not be around? But I think the main thing, though, why we all got together was because she had beers, too. And that's, the drinking. Why I didn't really want to join in, to be honest with you all. I never liked all the drinking. But my dad drank every day. Now, me, it killed the pain. More than the night he would drink. But another reason, now that I'm thinking about the story, because a lot of stuff comes back to me after, it's been a very long time. But another reason, and I don't think I'm making this up, but I might be confusing it with another time. I think I only had my pajamas on. Because my dad said, he did this before to me. Oh, he's just going out for a little bit. And I'd be like, yo, I just have my pajamas on. He'd be like, it's all good. But then we would be out the whole day drinking. But my dad said at that time, I think, if I remember right, he says, we was just fishing and then going right back home. So I was definitely shy. I was embarrassed wearing just my PJs. But me and the girl, she was older than me too. I guess that made me shyer. We explored the woods while they was with the poles and the mirrors. I don't remember much. We was talking 30 years of time that's passed. It's been 30 years. But I do remember that we all left at the same time. My dad didn't have a car. I don't even think he had a license at that time. But I got my license, and so that's good. I'm moving on up. That's the whole thing. I got my license. Finally got a piece of the pie. Anyways, the lady took my dad to the store to get more beer. He got candies and sodas for me and the girl. Her name, by the way, was Emma. Emma Mandigo. I remember the candies too, by the way. They was the ones you don't see anymore. It's a long. I don't think I can even describe this. I'll try. It's a long pouch with several parts, several sections in there. You gotta rip open the several sections, and each section is its own pouch. And in each pouch, there's different colored powder in there. And then there's this white stick that comes off on the side. And you gotta lick that stick to get it wet, and then you dip it in any one of the pouches that you want. It's filled up with the colors. And then you suck the stick. And you get real pumped up as a kid. I remember Phil Collins was on the radio. It was in the car, and Phil, that one. Everyone knows that one. And everybody's like, okay, that song. We heard it 1,000 times. But it was blowing my mind on the candy. Listen to that one on candy. Pixie sticks. It's kind of like that's what it was. It was in a pouch, but that will do the job. The same idea as pure sugar, and pure sugar's no good. That's one of the biggest drugs in our country right now. And I lived on it. I would drink sodas, 2 liters all the time. That's why I was fat. But everybody was pumping me up with it. Okay, but just put the candy aside. That's totally irrelevant. Even though I'll probably do a video about the harms of the consumption in this country of candies and sugars. We went back to their house. Their house was actually, this was even crazier. Their house was on Washington Avenue, across from the cemetery. We lived across from the cemetery too. We lived only a few houses down. There was their house, and then to a couple houses. Then my friend Mike's house, Mike Cable. He got stabbed a few years ago, and I miss him. He's died. He's dead. So there was Mike's house. I don't even know if he lived there at the time. But then there was a couple more houses, and then our houses. So what are the chances of that? She was my bus driver from a whole different land, a whole different place, Power Kingdom, up where my mom lived. Because that's why I was going up to. That's why I was in school up in Power Kingdom, because my mom lived there. My dad was in Beacon. Now we was in the back to the story though, because I want to cut to the chase. This is getting long. Okay. So in the living room, I remember we was playing Mario 3. That's the one with the raccoon or the beaver tail. I think it's a raccoon. And then Emma, the girl, she showed me a show called Kids in the Hall. That was her favorite show. I would say this is like 90, 91. But the biggest thing was when me and Emma, this is where we're getting to the part now. When me and Emma went to her room, she put on Debbie Gibson. Debbie Gibson, that was her favorite. Then we went under the bed. We could barely fit in there. It was very tight. But she had a light under there. All set up nice, and pillows. All the Debbie Gibson songs was playing. No, only in my dreams, as sweet as it may seem, it was only in my dreams. You know that one. That was a famous hit. Everybody loved her. All of the songs was playing. Shake your love. You just can't shake your love. That one. All of them. But then she started kissing me under the bed. And I felt real weird. And she was touching diddles too. And I'm gonna be honest about that. She was touching down there. Through the clothes, but still a touch is a touch. And I didn't want to kiss under the bed. I don't think. But she made me. I was assaulted. I guess you can say that. I guess you can say I was assaulted. I was underage too. I was like 8, I think. She was like 11. She was like 12, maybe even 13. But okay, there's something you gotta understand about assault. Assaulted, that's a lot about how it feels. And how it feels depends on how it's thought of. And since it's cool, at least when I was growing up, I think sometimes it's changed a little bit. Since it was cool for a boy to get some action, you know what I mean? I never let it get to me. It was easy, in other words, not to feel bad about feeling bad. Let that sink in. It was easy not to feel bad about feeling bad. It was easy, in fact, to think it was pretty cool. But I do still think it got to me at the time. And that's why I went to the living room to sleep on the couch instead of in Emma's room, because that was the plan. I would, you just sleep in Emma's room. That's what they said. But I slept on the couch. Anyways, I didn't say this. This is another... I got to the main point, but this is another interesting detail. There was a black lady, Maxine, that came over when we was playing video games. Max, they called her. That was, they said Max. Aunt Max. Emma said that was her aunt, but that didn't seem right. But Max, the mom, I think the mom's name was Bonnie. And I don't know if I'm making that up, and my dad always was talking about a Bonnie Rottencrotch. So I think I might just be making that up, but let's just call her Bonnie. Max and Bonnie, they was in the other bedroom with my dad the whole time. My dad told me sometime after, probably even the next day, because he would tell me shit like this. They was straight up with me, you know what I mean? He said that they was trying to stick butt plugs in my dad's butt. So we was both getting assaulted. And it's not only the young that get harmed. It can be the old, too. I don't remember much except I woke up on the couch in the morning. It was bright. The sunshine was on my face. And I felt like I pissed myself. Like I was all wet. Downy. But it felt different than peeing. Because with peeing, you get a big soak into one area. I was all damp all over. Like sweat. It was confusing. And to this day, I never got to the bottom of it. I picture it in my head, and I don't know when I started picturing this. It may not even be real. Because your memory is different when you're young. You can really mix things up. But I always pictured Emma squatting over me and peeing on me. I might have invented it, though. I don't know. I didn't invent the kissing. And I didn't invent that I didn't like it. I remember that when I saw Emma's mom's back in Power Kingdom, know what I mean? You always got to represent Power Kingdom. When I saw her on the school bus, she would always go, Emma wants to spend time with you. You got to call her up. And I didn't want to do it. My stomach sank every time. And I didn't even want to go to school to see Emma's mom. I really never did see Emma again. There was just one more time. My cousin Randy was spending the night. A few years later, he was spending the night at my dad's house. And Randy died too. And I really miss him. And I love him. And his birthday's coming up. So I miss him. Anyways, in the morning, I miss my cousin Randy. But anyways, in the morning, after the sleepover, Randy said, I gotta go visit my girlfriend, cuz. Well, I don't think he's talking like that, because we was still like 10 or 11. I don't even think that was the lingo of the time. But we went through the woods instead of on the street. And we got to Emma's backyard, because remember, it's very close. And all the memories came back, because I had forgotten about it. But then I saw the yard, and I knew it, and I saw the girl. And it was Emma that was his girlfriend. But we was only like 10 or 11. So it's not that serious. No one's going on any dates. You know what I mean? She acted like she didn't remember me. And I acted like I didn't remember her. So that's it. That's the whole story. That's the story of it. And everybody should tell their story. Don't be afraid to tell your story, okay? Even if it's uncomfortable. Even if it makes you cry. If you wait to tell your story until no one will be made uncomfortable, guess what? You're never going to tell that story. And there's nothing to be ashamed about. It's not your fault. And also, keep in mind this. By telling it, others are going to be less afraid to tell it. So it's real it just helps people. Break the silence. Know what I mean? Break the silence. Know what I mean? I love that. Thank you guys. And I'll see you next time when we talk about the problem of sugar. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's the next one, but I do want to talk about that. Thank you.